And here we are, off and running with Susan. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning.
Good morning.
So we've had, I think this is like session 13, 14, I'm not sure, but we've got quite a few of them. Yeah. So I'll hand over to you now. So as usual, I'll let you run your session, and then I'll come back and I'll do some Q&A with you at the end. So good luck.
Thank you. Thanks, Peter. Hi, everyone. I'm Susan Ramsey. I'm the owner at Graphically Design, and I'm also a theme support guru, aficionado, addict, whatever you want to call it. And today I'm going to be talking about support and why support can be a good thing, and why you shouldn't be scared about providing support or offering products because of the support behind it. Okay, and I share my screen. Does everybody see my screen? Here we go. Good. Okay. This is 10. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So I'm owner of Graphically Designing. You can find me on Twitter at Graph Designing, and I am also the support admin at provide theme support over at Pretty Darn Cute Design, and I'm a moderator on the Studio Press community forums. And I've previously provided support for the Pixelista and Restored 316. So yeah, I'm kind of addicted to support. Okay, and so I have a thing for support, and I think you should too. And the reason that I came up with this idea for this presentation was that so many times I've heard people say, I'd love to sell a theme, I'd love to release a plugin, but I don't want to have to support it because I don't like the idea of support. So I wanted to kind of let people know that, hey, you've got options out there, that you can provide support and you don't have to be daunted by it, or you can have somebody else do it for you. Let's get going. Okay, so fear no more, there are options. So if you've released a theme, you know that, well, if you bought the Genesis framework or any of the themes, you know that they come with theme setup instructions, etc., and you can basically follow those along. And if you've got some experience, it's pretty straightforward, and there's no problem. You can get the theme up and running in just a matter of time. But if you're new to it, then there are often, questions that you may have, and it's good to have some kind of support to go to get your questions answered. And that's where people such as myself come in. We'll answer all your questions and get you started. Now, in the first place, if you've got excellent instructions, the questions are going to be fairly straightforward, or maybe even non-existent, or they can really run off into the area of, hey, this isn't really theme support, this is theme customization, and we'd love to help you, but as part of support, that's not what you're getting when you sign up for the support. Okay, so what are your options as a creator of a theme or creator of a plugin? Your options are basically that you can do it yourself and provide your theme support. The pros to doing this obviously are that nobody cares about your clients as much as you do, okay? These are your clients who've paid you money for one of your themes or one of your plugins, and you want to make sure that you do the best thing by your customers, because your business is reliant on good service to your customers, okay? The cons of this are that providing theme support is maybe not the best use of your time, that if you're providing theme support, that's taking you away from, developing future themes, developing, future plugins, or even taking time away from your family when you would like to be doing something else. Okay. So the next option is to outsource. And when I talk about outsource, I'm not talking about sending it off to, someone on Fiverr or Odesk or something like that. I'm talking about finding someone that you feel comfortable with having them work with your clients. So pros to outsourcing your support is that it frees up your time, obviously, to concentrate on design and development. The cons to it is that it's not free. There is a cost, but you have to weigh the cost against what value your time is worth. And then you also have to think about, are your clients being taken well care of? Because as I've indicated before, this is your business and these are your clients. You want the person that's providing your support to be a trusted individual, somebody that you would want to represent your company. And that's, I think, the toughest part of all of this, is that how do you know that somebody else is going to treat your clients as well as you would like to treat them, or that B, that they're not, doing anything that's, bad for your business. And I've heard horror stories of, people who've hired someone to do their support, and they felt like they've, lost control of their business because of, the support person wasn't providing, the support that they should have been, or wasn't treating their customers as well as they should have done. And so that's the great unknown in all of this. And it's, the key to having a good, a good support service is making sure that you find somebody who, is good at this. Okay. So let me kind of back off a little bit and tell you about my how I got involved in support, and where my situation is right now. When I first got involved in Genesis, I think it was probably close to 3 years now, I switched from Blogger to WordPress, and I bought a couple of themes, and I set up my themes, and I had a number of questions. And back in those days, it was before Studio Press had moved to their help ticket, and they had their forum. And I started to hang out on their forum, and started to answer some questions that others who were using the theme I was using had about, basically setting up the theme. And, it was kind of cool. And shortly after that, Studio Press switched to a support ticket system, and they had their community forums. And I moved over to the community forums and just started, answering basic support questions there. And then I was approached by Lindsay at Pretty Darn Cute Design and Lauren at Restored 316 to see if I was kind of interested in, helping them answer support questions. And I said, sure. And they both offered to pay. And I said, no, if you pay me, then it becomes a job. And this isn't a job. This is something I like doing. So I did support for free, just because, I am addicted to support. So it was like, hey, I'm happy to do this for free. A few months later, Jessica took over from 8 Crazy Designs, and Shannon's themes became the Pixelista, and I started to provide theme support there, and was basically providing support for most of the feminine WordPress themes. And it got a little bit busy at that point, and that's when Lindsay at Pretty Darn Cute Design said, well, why don't you, come on board and work for me, and we'll kind of develop a partnership here. And so now I work doing support exclusively for Pretty Darn Cute Designs, and I get paid. But more than that is that I think that people recognize me as being part of the Pretty Darn Cute Design theme, and that's important when you are providing support for somebody, is that you want to be considered part of their team. You're not just someone, on the side that they've, that is answering the support questions, but you're basically, anonymous. I think if you are a good support resource, then you want to have, be acknowledged as such, and that you want to know that you're providing a value to, whoever you're working with. And I think that's, where I'm at right now. It's a great relationship that I have with Lindsay, doing all her theme support. Also, her theme customization for people who want to get their site set up, they don't want to do it themselves, then I do that. And that's kind of comes back to how someone who is developing a theme can mitigate their costs, because hiring a good support person can be a good percentage of what you're making on your theme. If you've only got one theme and you're selling it out in the marketplace at $50, how much of that is actually going to you after you figure out all your development costs, etc.? So how much of that $50 can you actually afford to spend to pay someone else to support it? And so, you're thinking, well, maybe I can afford to pay someone, $5 for each theme that I sell. Well, that's well and good, but, are you going to find someone who's going to work for $5? And so you have to look at, well, there's got to be other ways that you can make it, worthwhile of, for you to develop the theme and still have a source of income, but to be able to make it worthwhile to, keep someone happy who's providing you support. And so you have to look at, other options for, being able to, afford to do this. And by doing the theme customizations, for example, it's not costing Lindsay money to have me do the support in that regard. It's people are paying to get the theme set up, and that helps to lessen the financial burden on Lindsay to pay me to provide support. So once you've decided whether you want to do it yourself or to outsource, hire someone, or form a partnership with someone, you have to decide, how are you going to provide support? How are you going to actually deliver the product to the client? And there are a number of support models out there, and the ones I'm going to be talking about are products that I've actually used, so that I can, give you my feedback on what works, what doesn't work, downfalls, etc. So the first two that we're going to look at are Zendesk and Help Scout, and both of them are online software that is a way for people to submit their support tickets, and a way for it to be managed. And they're both excellent products. Help Scout is free for I believe the first 4 users. Zendesk is $1 a month for one account. And obviously, if you've just got 1 or 2 support people, i.e. yourself and your support person, then you could probably do it for free. I think Zendesk and Help Scout are great tools, but for someone who's has one theme and has one support person, they may be a little bit of overkill. Do you really need this whole product? Do you really need all the tools that both of these products provide? And I think they're more for, I would say, larger enterprise operations. So Zendesk and Help Scout, excellent tools. maybe a little bit of overkill for a small one-person operation. And the other options that that I've used are email and BB Press. Now, email, someone would visit your, you'd have a support page on your website with a support form. Somebody would fill out the form, and it would come, generate an email, and you would respond via the email. So it would be direct email interaction between yourself and your support client. And for the most part, it's an excellent way of doing support because it is one-on-one interaction. On the downside, I would say the downside of providing email support is that once you've answered somebody's question, they may go on to ask another question or another 10 questions, and you can find yourself in this, email chain that has 50 messages, and that's not obviously the idea of support. The idea of support is to submit a ticket, get your question answered, and move on. So the model that we're using now at Pretty Darn Cute Design is BB Press, and BB Press is a WordPress plugin, and it can be incorporated in your website. Now, if you've ever gone to the Studio Press community forums, and if you haven't, you should be there, giving back to your community. The Studio Press community forums use BB Press as well, and so it's a web forum. I like it. I'm used to using BB Press. I've been using it on the Studio Press community forums for a couple of years now. It allows you to, as a user, a person seeking support, it allows you to see the other kind of support questions that people are asking. You don't get to see what other people are asking through Zendesk, Help Scout, or email. BB Press allows a user maybe to search for an answer themselves before actually, submitting their own ticket. Maybe they'll find an answer from previously asked questions, and that is often the case. That a theme. Yeah, I think you can probably categorize that there's a small group of questions that you get, constantly asked, and by having a forum, people can find that answer. The downside that I think a forum has, there's a couple of little downsides. That a response or a question on a forum isn't private. Yeah, there are, you can have private, you can have private answers, as you do on the Studio Press forums, where only the person who creates the thread, can see the question or the answer. But I think that defeats the purpose of having the forum in the first place. The idea of a forum is, for community interaction. Even though in the case, for example, of Pretty Darn Cute Design, I'm the one that answers every single forum question, and people know that they ask their question, I'm going to be the one that's going to answer it anyway. But it does give other users the opportunity to get in there and maybe provide an answer as to what worked for them. Okay, so because it's a forum and it's not private, some people are reluctant, for example, to share their URL. They don't want people to see their site, etc. And obviously, we don't want people to be sharing their usernames and passwords. So in some cases, when we need to troubleshoot by logging into a person's site, they'll need to email me, and I'll need to get their user information, etc. via email, which adds another layer to the process, but I think it's fairly manageable. Users, when we first talked about moving from email to another way of doing theme support, we got a bit of pushback from people who liked the idea of just the one-on-one interaction. They were concerned that by going to a forum, they were going to become one of, 100 unanswered threads. And that's not the case. We, assured them that their questions would still be answered in a timely manner. We promise a 48-hour response time. Very rarely do I go over 12 hours, because going back to I'm an addict, I answer theme support as soon as I get up in the morning. I come back to it as soon as I get home from work. So typically, a question would be answered the same day. And if you can find someone who, likes providing theme support and is happy to do it at all times, then that's great. You've got to just make sure you manage expectations for your clients that, hey, this is free theme support. It's not premium theme support. There is going to be times when there is downtime. But I think that the forum works well for what we do. I think it's also allowed us to see a decrease in the number of questions that we get asked, because in email, if I receive an email from somebody, I'm going to receive the same email from, maybe 50 people. And if you post it on the forum, then, I may still have 50 people asking the same question, but some of them have done a search on the forum and found their answer and don't even need to ask the question. Or if someone has already asked the question, I can easily search the forum and find the previous answer that I've provided and link to the forum, the previously asked question, so that I'm not sending out, the same email 50 times. And that is why I really do like the forum, because I could go, look through my email and find a previous answer that I've provided and send that off. Or I can find it in the forum, and it's much easier to find and point someone to. Another thing that's come out of having the forum is that it's more easy to identify those, questions that get asked all the time. And, you may say, well, why don't we include it in the setup instructions? Well, it's actually in the setup instructions. People are, maybe not understanding something, etc. So from there, I've used it as an opportunity to create, some of my own tips and tools and tutorials for my own website, and so that I can, write an answer and give screenshots, etc., and point people to, a tutorial that I've written that's more in depth, for example, than something that would be in, the setup instructions. Things like, how do I set up the Genesis responsive slider? In the setup instructions, whether it be for, Pretty Darn Cute or, Studio Press, it's to say, here's a plugin that you'll use, and, here's the setting I use in terms of image size, but all the logistics of the Genesis responsive slider aren't included in a theme setup instruction. So things like that allow me to, give more in-depth instructions than I could through just, an email. I'll write a tutorial and post it on my own blog. Okay, that's basically, my way of saying there is an option for you if you want to, create a theme. There's no way, there's no reason why you should give it away just because you don't want to provide support. That you can find someone who likes doing support, and that they'll can do it for you. Or you can find a streamlined way of providing support yourself through a forum where you're not spending all your time answering emails, etc. Get the forum started, add some tutorials there, and direct your traffic to previously asked questions. And thank you. Just to thank you for taking part in my presentation, just because Lindsay at Pretty Darn Cute is so generous. She's giving away 2 a free theme to 2 attendees. So if you'd like to receive one of our themes, then I encourage you to sign up. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, I am free to answer your questions. And I talk too fast, and I'm supposed to go for 50 minutes, and I've only gone for 25. Sorry, guys. But I am happy to sit here and answer questions all day. Does anybody have any questions?
Susan, sorry, I just cleared my throat. Great session. There's not a lot of questions except for the ones that I've got. So you're happy to answer a couple of mine?
I am absolutely happy to answer questions. Go ahead.
Oh, Susan, are you still there? There you are.
I'm still here.
I just want, so one question I've got is where, so people who are selling themes or plugins and the like, do you have any suggestions of how they can find someone such as yourself? Like, how do they hook up with people to outsource their support? Because obviously, you mentioned other places like Odesk and things like that. But do you have any suggestions to where people might look to find someone such as yourself?
Absolutely. If you are on Facebook, there is actually a couple of groups out there. One of them was freelance referrals, and it was created by Lindsay. It was for basically, we got a lot of demand for build websites, etc. And neither of us had time for it, so Lindsay created a page called Freelance Referrals, and it's on Facebook. And basically, if we don't have time to do something, we'll post on there and say we're looking for someone. So if you're looking for someone to provide theme support for you, you can ask there. The great thing about this community is
we're just losing your audio there a little bit.
Okay, am I still good?
Got you back now.
Okay. The great thing about this community is it's not large, which means that somebody knows somebody else. So that if you're looking for someone to provide support, I can tell you right now the names of 6 people who would like to do it and that I would be happy to recommend. So it's just a matter of, speaking to the community either through, Twitter or through Facebook or, asking me, and, I'd be happy to, let you know some people. And, that's how Ginger works for the Pixelista now, doing her theme support. And I, recommended Ginger to Jessica.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, bit of networking. So,
exactly.
There's tons of people on this.
Right. Also, if you're not on the Studio Press community forums, there's a core group of users on the forums that are, forever answering questions over there. And you could ask, say, hey, I'm looking for someone to provide support to my, for my plugin or my theme. And I'm sure you'd get a volunteer over there as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Excellent. Look, thank you very much. Awesome to have you on board and to have, it's actually nice to hear the other side, because often you hear the conversation is, developers and stuff, and they're all, we're commonly moaning about the fact that we have to provide support. So it's really refreshing to hear it from the other side of someone who loves doing it, which is good.
Right. And that was the whole thing about it, is that I hear all the time that I'm going to give my theme away because I don't want to provide support. And, maybe if you've got one theme and you're thinking, well, I don't want to pay someone to do it because it's only one theme and I'm not making much money. If you can find someone, who will, be a partner, so to speak, in helping you, sell your theme or, develop some side revenue from that, then it's not a huge expense to pay someone to support it. And it'll give you the opportunity to work on developing your second theme or your third theme. And then when you get, when you've got half a dozen themes, then it becomes, it becomes worthwhile to have someone just purely answering all your support questions.
Yep, great. And just one quick question I've got too. So when, so you've obviously worked for a few different theme places. Do you get involved in doing some of the testing as well? So when they develop new themes, do they ask you to do some of the testing side of things?
Yeah, not so much testing, but from a user interface, I will get, Lindsay will say, hey, I'm, thinking of releasing a theme. Can you take a look at it? See if there's, something that doesn't make sense, etc. So yeah, I do get involved in that side of things.
Awesome.
Mostly from user interface.
Great. Look, thank you again. I appreciate you've got up very early in the morning there in Texas to join us. So
thank you, and I'm sorry my speech has gone so short.
I know you're just dropping out a couple of times there. That's fine. Otherwise it will sound.
Okay. I think I've lost you.
We've got a little bit of a break. The other side of the ditch. I think she's from the UK, and she's talking about Genesis hooks and filters, and that'll be coming up at the top of the hour. So there's a time for a toilet stop or a breakfast break if you're Susan, or something else, lunch, dinner, whatever it takes. So let's finish it there, and we'll be back at the top of the hour with the next session, which is Joe Waltham. Thanks again, Susan.
Thank you. Thanks, Peter.